Okay, hi everyone. I think I'm live here. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining the American Indian College Fund's Facebook Live. The College Fund has been broadcasting each Friday to share more about our work and the stories of students and the communities we serve. And my name is Tiffany Gusbeth. I'm an enrolled member of the Northern Cheyenne Nation, and I'm the Director of Student Success Services here at the American Indian College Fund. And today I'll be sharing with you some information about how the College Fund supports students directly, as well as introducing you to an American Indian College Fund scholar. And she'll be sharing more about her experience as a college student as well, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, which I think is on top of mind for all of us. So thanks again for tuning in, and I hope that you get to learn a little bit more about our work and how the generosity that you may support us with helps that as well. So starting off, I'd like to share a little bit about the Student Success Services team at the American Indian College Fund and really share more about the work that we do. We provide programming and support all the way from high school to the point when a student graduates. So starting with our high school group, we really offer college access and college readiness programming. Right now, we work with reservation-based or near reservation high school students, teachers, faculty, and staff, providing them college readiness resources and programming to work towards increasing the number of American Indian Alaska Native students who go to college, so increasing that college going rate. We also, as you probably know, offer scholarship support to students attending college and really supporting them with financial resources to make sure that they have that opportunity and have that access. The college success area of our department too provides direct student support with our students who are in college. And so making sure that they not only have the financial resources that they need to even attend college, but so that once they're in school, they have the resources they need to continue to make achievements and accomplish their goals when it comes to degree attainment. So we provide resources to make sure that they are all good in their academic journey. Throughout all of this, starting with our high school students even, we offer career development and career readiness materials and curriculum as well. We are really striving towards improving and increasing the number of employable graduates in Indian country. And so that's why we start with that in the high school space and supporting students who are in college all the way through to graduation with those types of resources. We really want to make sure that a student is able to access higher education to pursue a degree that is meaningful to them at any level, certificate through to graduate degrees, and also that when they complete that degree, that they have the resources, knowledge, and tools to step into a job or career that is meaningful to them as an individual, but also for their communities that are so important to our students. So that's the nitty-gritty of what we do in the Student Success Services Department, really working directly with students. We often collaborate and partner with our tribal colleges and universities, and also with other higher education partners and organizations who have similar goals and mindsets on supporting Native students. So we're really happy to be able to do that. I want to share more about our website and the social media handles that we have from our department. If you go to collegefund.org, you can click on students and you'll find a ton of resources for someone who is going to college. If you are a family member supporting someone or encouraging someone, and also for those faculty and staff members who are committed and invested in Native student success as well. The resources we have on our website are not limited to students only or scholarship recipients. It is available for anyone who comes across our resources. And there's a couple of key things there that I want to make sure you do know about as you're browsing. In our Native Pathways links, there is a college going guidebook that we published and distributed last spring, right around this time actually. And this was developed by Native staff and faculty members for Native students who are pursuing college. And this is a really great tool, especially at this time of year as students are thinking about what they're going to do in the fall, whatever that looks like right now, and when they are ready for it, what steps they should be taking. And we talk about financial aid, completing scholarship and admissions essays, and also some more career development information is there too. And then just this winter, I think it was back in February, we launched our Career Pathways Guidebook as well. And so as you look through our website, you'll be able to find that. And that's also key for this time of year as students are graduating, this week or in the next couple weeks, and really thinking about their career. It's a unique time frame to be doing that, but we do believe that there are some really great tools and resources and knowledge in that Career Pathways Guidebook for our students and for those who are supporting students as well. So do take a look at that. You can follow our department's social media on our handles at Native Pathways. So that's on Facebook and Instagram. We do daily posts as well, really giving students timely information so they have access not only to the content that we create, but that our partners create as well. Okay, so now that you know a little bit about our department, the kind of work that we do, I really wanted to use this time to share with those who are tuning in and interested in the College Fund how we've been responding to student needs during the COVID-19 pandemic. I know, as I mentioned earlier, this is top of mind for all of us. This has been a very unique challenge for everyone across the country, but it's especially important to know and understand how our students have been experiencing this as well, and how the College Fund has been supporting students with the generosity from our donors, individuals, foundations, etc. So once we all kind of went remote back in March, was right around the same time colleges and universities across the nation went remote, including tribal colleges and universities as well, and the high schools in the rural and reservation-based areas that we serve. So our first goal was really to make sure we touched base with as many students as possible, making sure that we were engaged with them, that we knew that they were okay, that they had the resources that they need, and also to better learn what those resources might be. So immediately we communicate with students, obviously through email and phone, but also text messaging in our social media handles as well. And we were really happy to have a pretty good response rate from our students. They were really thankful and appreciative that we were reaching out, that our team was reaching out and checking in with them. I think that during that time that was so scary and unknown for us all, especially at the beginning, it was a much needed check-in point. Through that, we also continued reaching out directly to our tribal colleges and universities, the high schools that we work with, and our partners too, to get updates on either their campus status, what resources they had, what were the barriers or lack of resources that they had as well, so that as we were communicating with students, we knew how to best support them and who to connect them with in their community or elsewhere. We also conducted a survey. We survey our scholars and our high school participants as much as they'll let us, but it was really important, especially back in March, to better understand and collect some information on how students were doing. And we asked them, what's top of mind for you? What are the immediate challenges? How are you adapting? And the things that we already knew about serving Native students were definitely exhibited, but we began to understand that the pandemic was really exacerbating the need for some of the things that Native students had been experiencing already, like financial resources, access to technology, etc. So we better understand that students really are many of our college students are the sole providers for their income in their household. And so more than 50% of our scholarship recipients are that head of household when it comes to income. And so they were really worried about how this would affect their job status, either on campus or elsewhere. Many had already been receiving reduced hours, and so they were losing income. And scholarships and financial aid many times don't cover all of the needs that they have. And so this was becoming a big stress for them. There was an increased worry about finishing the semester. We were seeing more concern and the likelihood that students were going to drop out as a result of some of the financial and personal concerns that were a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. And then there's definite concern about having the tools and knowledge that they needed to continue their semester and participating in online events. I think high schools and colleges, universities, and tribal communities did a really good job about responding quickly and moving towards online so that students were safe and healthy. But there definitely, the digital divide that had already existed had definitely become more important and prevalent to solve. And so I think schools and universities are still working on that. They've done some really great work in providing those needs, and the College Fund, thanks to its funders and donors, has been able to support that as well. So really happy for that. Other challenges that students had mentioned or shared with us were absolutely the emotional and mental toll that the restrictions and new way of life that we have been experiencing has taken on them and their families. Students are really resourceful in finding the resources that they need. And something I think many of us didn't plan on, including our students and their families, was just how hard this would be to be socially distant from family and friends, and even those in their workplace and college and university. And so it's been really, I think, interesting and has affirmed also the values that are held in tribal communities. Families, community, and kinship are highly valued for Native people and many tribes. And this has been very difficult and disruptive to the way of life for our students and our tribal colleges and universities as well. The TCUs have always done an amazing job, and it is what makes them very unique and special in higher education, is how well they are reflective of cultural practices and values in their style of teaching and learning. And when those opportunities for building relationship and community are removed, that becomes a little difficult, not only for the TCU, but very much for the students. That has been a piece of their success, and so they have been missing out on that. It will definitely be a priority for the College Fund and TCUs to continue to learn how to adapt to that way of life. As we do everything virtually now, we're figuring out how to create relationships in a different way and in a new way. But it has been very hard on our students to do that, since many gatherings, ceremonies, or other culturally significant events happen with family members, especially during the spring and summertime too. So I wanted to make sure that everyone kind of knew about that and understood that special and unique challenge too. On the brighter side, we have seen amazing strength and resiliency out of our students. We know that Native communities have been resilient over many years, and our students are definitely showing us that and reminding us that while there are definite vulnerabilities and challenges that we need to overcome, students have really expressed their commitment to their educational goals. It's been very inspiring and very motivational for us to hear at the American Indian College Fund from our students, and just how much they care about continuing their education and building better communities for their families. They have really shown a connection and care for their communities and families by doing more than just staying home, but also finding ways to care for those through making face masks, planting gardens, delivering food when they can. These are some of the examples we've heard from students in how they're caring not only for themselves and their immediate families and their household, but also for the elders and others who are in their community. And that's just been really incredible to hear. And we're really proud of them for persevering through challenges and continuing to find ways to stay connected to their families as well. I mentioned before just how well tribal colleges and universities have supported students. We obviously partner really closely with the TCUs. We work really closely with their faculty and staff and their leadership as well. And it's been also very inspiring and really great to hear exactly how they've been responding. Tribal governments even were very quick to respond and keeping their community safe with implementing guidelines and restrictions to keep their community members safe. But so were TCUs. Many of them are in very rural areas, as you might know, and have maybe not have had great or a lot of experience in doing online learning because they were so focused in doing one-to-one relationship type teaching. But they adapted really quickly to making sure students had access, that they had the information, the resources. Some started off really simple with printing and delivering packets to their students so they can continue their work without falling behind as everyone adjusted to the use of technology and computers. As we work with them and they've received resources as well, we have all collaborated and worked on making sure students do have access through Wi-Fi hotspots, computers, laptops. There's still great need in that space, but getting as much resources out there has been really a great accomplishment for the TCUs. They had moved so quickly in this space. That would have been a great challenge. And then of course, through the support of many resources, but also college fund donors, dispersing emergency aid funds to students to make sure that they can continue to feed their families, keep their lights on, have housing and transportation as well. And then just overall providing encouragement and motivation to their students. The tribal colleges have just done an incredible job of keeping their students uplifted and connected. So we're really happy to hear that, and definitely gives us some comfort in knowing how well students are supported at the TCUs. I will have a student joining with us here. It doesn't look like she's logged on. So while we wait for her, I do want to make sure that you know a little bit more about our website and the resources that we have. If you go to collegefund.org and you click on the For Students section, you'll find an entire page there that's available to, again, students, families, faculty and staff members, or others who are just interested in supporting Native student success. Right now, we have an entire page that is dedicated to COVID-19 resources. And I'm switching around my view here so that I can refer back to that. But we have resources for students on how to navigate the virtual space. But also for many of our students, they also have family members who are at home with them, including children. And so we pull together my team, who is just really amazing and caring for our scholarship recipients and high school students, many resources to keep our young ones busy at home as well, from coloring pages, virtual beading circles, how to develop new activities so that they can also continue working at home and then also pursuing their academic coursework as well. So if you are working with students, there's a great list of resources there, including for those students who are navigating the financial space. That's a very confusing space for students. There's more resources there, and we're going to continue to develop that throughout the summer and make sure students are ready for the fall. You might have seen too that I've got our student who's logged in here with me onto Zoom. This is Jasmine. Jasmine, we've just done a overview of what the College Fund does, how we've been supporting students during the COVID-19 pandemic, and also the types of stories that we're hearing not only from students, but also tribal colleges and universities and how they've been reacting to that. So I really appreciate you being so generous with your time today. Many of us know that it is probably finals week or graduation week, and so we're really thankful for you taking time. Jasmine, can we have you introduce yourself? And then I've just got a few questions for you, and we'll give those who are tuning in some more insight about, what types of challenges you might have been experiencing as well.
Sure. Can you hear me okay? Okay, awesome. So sorry I'm late. I was actually like watching the Facebook Live version and taking notes on some of the cool resources and stuff. I got a little bit wrapped up in that, but anyway, Poso Mamanuiak. My name is Jasmine Niosh. She, her, hers. I am a student at the College of Menominee Nation, where I study public administration, and recently got my associate degree in natural resources. I'm also a college fund ambassador and a longtime fan of the college fund. So thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Jasmine. We are also a longtime fan of you. Really appreciate that. Um, so yeah, thank you. So as you're thinking about going to school and this semester, school has been challenging for many college students anyway, especially native students. There's lots of things to kind of overcome, and you've done a really great job in doing that up until now. How is this semester a little bit different? What's this experience been like for you and your family? And how has it impacted your experience in college?
So I should preface by saying that um, College of Menominee Nation did, I would say, probably a much better job of responding to this situation than I think anyone probably could have expected them to. We had a couple of things going for us right at the beginning, which is like we were already kind of thinking about online coursework. So the IT department, all of the administrators and everything did an amazing job at like one, shutting everything down as soon as it was advisable to do so, and then scrambling the resources that we did have to make students a priority, um, and find those ways to overcome some of the things that you were talking about earlier. Having said that, I don't think anyone, I've heard the term the new normal a lot, and like it might just be my own intellectual stubbornness, but I feel like there's like no way that I could ever think of this as being like a normal situation. um and it has been, it's been tough, even in the what I would think of as like the best possible case scenario, with the way that CMN responded to this crisis. It's still been a really really hard time. I have adult ADHD, as well as some anxiety issues, which is, as you can imagine, great during a global pandemic to begin with, and midterms and finals to boot. But having all the classes be online was definitely something that I hadn't anticipated being quite as difficult as it was. I don't think I really understood the degree to which I really rely on that in-person college environment, the way that I rely on that like support network that's there, um, to really make like the regular burden of college bearable. Um, it got to the point where like I consider myself kind of an introvert. Like I have my own things that I do, and I don't like go, I'm not like a, extrovert type of person, but I've really been finding myself like missing a lot of people, like all of my instructors, all of the, the administrators, the housekeepers who like say really, really nice things and kind of like pump me up through the day. Even people I don't necessarily like or know, like I miss seeing them around, like around the campus, and I didn't really anticipate that. And then of course there's the technical side of things where, even those of us who are, of the millennial generation, where, we're thought to have our phone, we're born with phones in our hands. The technical side of it can be very difficult, um, for instructors and students alike. So there've it's been tough, um, and that's even without getting into like, the emotional strain of like having to do all of this work on top of your regular job in a space where you're sharing it with other people who are trying to do the exact same thing. um, it's been a rough semester, uh, but one of the things that's been really great, um, one is just like knowing and really being able to see the extent to which everybody at, in the tribal college community is really there for their students, and like the degree, like how far their advocacy for us goes has been like really really inspiring. um and like all those times I kind of did think about like maybe like this semester isn't just is like just not going to happen for me. That network was always really the thing that kind of like kept me in the game. So um I'm happy it's over. I'm hoping that, after this semester is done, maybe we just like don't ever talk about it again, even though I know that's not realistic. But um So yeah, I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, that absolutely does. And the things that you're sharing, you are definitely not alone in that experience or those feelings. We've heard from other students too that it's been really lonely. We're used to, especially in the college space, that's what it's all about, right? Is creating those networks and developing friendships and new relationships as well. So I'm really proud of you for pushing through all of that and making it through to the end of the semester. I think that just shows great strength. And we're really, really thankful for you sharing all of that you've been going through as well. Let me slide my notes back over here. Yeah, so you mentioned too that College of Menominee Nation had been kind of making a move towards some distance learning or online learning, and that was a little bit easier for you. And what has been the biggest challenge in that space in learning online? Did you have the resources you needed? And even if you did, what were some unanticipated challenges there too?
Yeah, I'm one of the people who had a greater benefit because I live like on a border town from the reservation where, it's basically like a small city. So internet access is a lot easier. Um I know a lot of people um who had to transition to online classes who didn't have online access at all. Like some people who found out that there wasn't even maybe even a provider who could do that for them. Um and it's really bizarre to think like it's 2020, like the internet is everywhere, like we just kind of assume that everybody has those things, but that's not really true, especially in rural countries, especially in Indian country. um some of the challenges that we faced were a lot of the infrastructure that's there for online coursework is not quite as stable as we would think it is. There was kind of a small panic there for a minute where we had an online learning platform that we were using for everything. And I think we're right around the midterms. Like there was a gigantic project that was due, and that website just crashed. Like, there was nothing that we could do. Like some people who had been able to work ahead were had gotten that all done, but like I was in this weird position where like I had this gigantic assignment due for a third of my grade, and I just physically couldn't even get access to the website. um, and so that was really scary. It was really stressful, um, just because like I generally think of myself as a pretty good student, so like having those kind of challenges all of a
Right.
sudden was like uncomfortable.
Very.
um, and thankfully, like I was able to contact the instructor, like we worked something out. um but yeah, it was a chaotic and stressful week for sure.
Yeah, with everybody else making a weird transition we didn't know we'd be doing the week before. Yeah, can totally appreciate that. Well, Jasmine, you mentioned also that you're glad it's over with. So is the semester done for you for spring?
Yeah, thankfully it just wrapped up my last finals on Wednesday.
Great, congratulations. That's got to be feel really good. Um, are you attending college in the fall?
Yep, in the fall and in the summer.
Oh, and summer too. Great. And will that be at Menominee as well? That's really good to hear. We're hearing from a lot of students that they are unsure about their plans for fall semester and whether they should continue in summer or fall. What's motivating you to continue?
I'll admit that I was one of the people that kind of thought that maybe this is not, you know, doable right now. I When I first enrolled at College of Menominee, I knew that online classes were a possibility and that they had certain benefits and that there were people who really liked them. I also knew very clearly that I was not one of them. Um, so even though I'm grateful that we had the capacity to, switch over to online classes so that we could, keep on trucking through the semester unabated, the idea of potentially having to go through an entire another semester like this, is not something that I was excited about. So I did give some very serious thought to dropping at least one of the classes that I was in this semester, potentially not coming back for summer or fall, at least until this whole thing is wrapped up.
Mhm.
Um, but that's not realistic. Um, in the world that we live in right now, I think like there are going to be curveballs that come up, and this is a much curvier, much bigger curveball than I think anyone could reasonably expect undergraduates to deal with. But the reality of it is that there is a future that we have to plan for and we have to work for. Um, and when we come out the other side of this, like I had to think about like what position I want to be in. Do I want to be in a position where suddenly my plan is derailed like a whole year and a half, just because like I couldn't find a coping strategy for online learning and like was willing to let that derail me? Or am I gonna like rally up, find those areas where I can like make this work for me, and then
Mhm.
just keep on continuing with the idea that maybe it'll be tougher. Hopefully that'll make me a better student on the other side of it. So that's the main thing that's keeping me going, I guess, is just like churlish pride.
That's really great. Again, just super proud of you to, be pushing through some of that. This is all really uncharted for everybody, and I know that's something that we often talk about with Native students is the great resiliency and perseverance that we have, and moving through to support our families or our communities and looking at that big picture. Um, Before we kind of wrap up here, I have one last question, but I'm just wondering, if there's anything that you really want to share with those who are tuning in to this live today. I'm guessing really interested in how the College Fund supports Native students, tribal colleges, and what the Native student experience is like in, completing their academic and career journey. And yeah, anything you want to share from that perspective.
Sure. There's a couple things. One is that one thing that I figured out um, pretty quickly, like after I went through my grieving process of having my spring and summer derailed and all that, is that this is a terrible tragedy that we're in right now, and a lot of us are very scared of what's going to happen. There's a lot of uncertainty, um, but there's also a lot of opportunity here. Um, I was on the planning committee for our college's Earth Day. It's something that I'm like really, really excited about every single year. Like we bring in all the neighborhood kids like from the community, and we like give them stuff, and we have a nice big celebration outside on our campus, which if you haven't been there is very, very lovely. And I was really, really looking forward to that, and understandably like that got canceled. Um, and we found ourselves in this position where we could easily just not do anything. Like there was no directive from our president or from anyone that we still had to keep doing this with like 2 weeks out from birthday. Um, Nobody expected us to do anything. And yet like we sat down as a group and then realized that, what, like, okay, cool, that sucks, but we have to figure out some way to bounce back from that. And coming at it from that kind of like, I would say like growth mindset, to borrow a term from one of our courses here, really, really helped kind of change my whole attitude about this thing, where I was starting to see that there are opportunities for Indian country to really come together in a way that we might not be able to do if we were just focusing on ways to physically come together. So like even like this conversation that we're having right now, it's not like we couldn't have done it on Zoom conferencing before,
Mhm.
but this is kind of forcing us to get outside of our box and start thinking about things in a little bit of a different way. And I think that's really amazing, the way that people have been responding to that, and then accepting this reality for what it is and still finding ways to move forward. I think is probably one of the most inspiring things. Like it's really cool. Like you see things like social distance powwow, um, all these panels for people that might not have been able to come into the same room, who are nonetheless sharing that information out with people, has been amazing. Um, and so I guess I would like to encourage students, like student organizers, people who are normally very active on their campus, um, to find ways to think about like how can we keep this community going, and how can we keep that spirit of togetherness and that strength. How can we keep that forefront in our minds? Can we keep practicing that even when we can't physically be together? Because I think once we take that task on, we're going to see some really terrific things come out of this. And I'm obviously excited that the College Fund is doing this right now and already taken that advice before I've given it. So, yeah, that's the main thing.
Thank you so much. That's exactly the question I was going to ask you is, what encouragement or what ideas for motivating others through this would be. So thank you so much. Those are really great words. I know in our team at Student Success Services, we like to say we get zoomed out. As much as we love to see each other because we have been home by ourselves, it can be very overwhelming. So I will go ahead and try to wrap up this session for the American Indian College Fund's Facebook Live series with just a few last words. Thank you again, Jasmine, for taking your time and being so generous in telling your story and sharing with others what your experience has been like. That again takes a lot of strength, and so I appreciate that. I hope for those who have tuned in, you received more information about the American Indian College Fund and how we support students directly, how we work with others in doing that, and making sure that they feel supported and have the resources they need to achieve their goals. Do visit our website. I saw a couple of comments and questions here about our scholarships specifically, and I've got some colleagues online answering those. collegefund.org/students, you'll find information about our scholarship programs and the application. Our application is currently open, and we do have a couple events coming up. Let me find my dates here to make sure I get the right ones. But on May 15th and May 28th, online, we will have scholarship workshops. So for those who are commenting and wondering about how to apply, we will go through actually 2 online events to walk students, families, and other partners through that application. You'll find the event details in the Student Success Services Facebook and Instagram pages, and the handle for that is @Native Pathways. So if you go into Facebook and search Native Pathways, or in Instagram, you'll find us, and you'll see registration links for those events as well. So do make sure you tune into those. We are happy to answer any questions if you can't make those. We often record these resources as well. We have a walkthrough video currently on YouTube. So if you can't wait and you only have 4 minutes, that's exactly how long the YouTube video is. So you can check that out. Thank you for joining me today. I'm really humbled to do this work and to share the work of my team and my colleagues at the American Indian College Fund. And we're so appreciative of the generosity of our supporters. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you for supporting the American Indian College Fund. Have a good afternoon. Bye, Jasmine.